Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakha Kudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Judges, the 6th chapter. And as we went through in the 5th chapter, it was mainly a song of Deborah and that Deborah and Barak sung concerning the Lord's deliverance of Israel. So this is the book of Judges, chapter 6, verse 1. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord Yahweh. And the Lord delivered them into the hand of Midian 7 years. I remember at the end, I believe, of the 5th chapter, I think it said there was peace for about 40 years or so. And in process of time, Israel went back into the wickedness that got them in that condition in the first place. So the Lord delivers them into the hand of the Midianites 7 years. And the hand of Midian prevailed against Israel, and because of the Midianites, the children of Israel made them the dens, which are in the mountains, and caves, and strongholds. So they basically started to make these hiding places, right, within the mountains and rocks and so on and so forth, to basically hide from the Midianites. And it was so when Israel had sown that the Midianites came up. So when when Israel would plant, right, their crops and so on and so forth, the Midianites would come up along with, right, and the Amalekites and the children of the east, which are the nations over on the east of Israel. Even they would come up against them, and they encamped against them, and destroyed the increase of the earth, till thou come unto Gaza, and left no sustenance for Israel, neither sheep, nor ox, nor ass. Now, in this case, you can imagine either them taking things that they found valuable and, burning the fields, destroying the crops and so on and so forth, as to leave Israel completely impoverished. For they came up with their cattle and their tents, and they came up as grasshoppers for multitude. So they, remember, this was multiple, like a multinational alliance. So they came, when it says as grasshoppers for multitude, meaning there were a lot of them. For both they and their camels were without number, and they entered into the land to destroy it. And Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites, meaning we were lacking, all right, a lot, lacking food, resources, because they were constantly being plundered or destroyed by the Midianites. Now, let me click in here and see. Okay, so Midianites says here, Midian or Midianite meaning strife. The territory of the tribe descended from Midian, son of Abraham by Keturah. Okay, cool. So Israel was going through it at this point. And Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites. And the children of Israel cried unto the Lord Yahweh. And it came to pass, when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord because of the Midianites, that the Lord sent a prophet unto the children of Israel, which said unto them, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I brought you up from Egypt, and brought you forth out of the house of bondage. And I delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of all that oppressed you, and drave them out from before you, and gave you their land, i.e. the time of Moses, the time of Joshua, where the Lord had us conquer this land, right, and drove out the original inhabitants. And I said unto you, I am the Lord Yahweh your God. Fear not the gods of the Amorites. Now, when it says fear here, the Lord wasn't just saying, don't be afraid of them. But when you go into that word fear, it also goes into to honor or to reverence, right? To revere, to reverence, to honor or respect these gods. That's what the Lord was mainly getting at here. The only God you should fear and respect is the Most High, it's Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, because that's our God. In whose land ye dwell, but ye have not obeyed my voice. And there came an angel of the Lord Yahweh, and sat under an oak, which was in Ophrah, that pertained unto Joash the Abiezrite. And his son Gideon threshed wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. So he was purposely threshing it in like a hidden area so the Midianites wouldn't see it. Keep in mind now, Gideon and his father here, which he was one of many in his household, they were Manassites, okay, which the word Gideon, the name Gideon, is going to, I think it means hewer, Gadai one. Let's take a look. Here we go, Gideon. Yeah, Gadai one, hewer. They have it here, or a feller, i.e. warrior. Interesting. Cool. And the and the angel of the Lord Yahweh appeared unto him and said unto him, now mind you, this angel, like this angel wasn't like a human form, right? And the reason is because Gideon didn't immediately recognize him as an angel. And the Lord Yahweh said, the Lord Yahweh is with thee. So the angel is there, right? And then he basically makes himself known unto Gideon by probably walks up close to him or clears his throat or says something. And Gideon is able to see him. And he says to Gideon, the Lord Yahweh is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. And Gideon said unto him, O my Lord, if the Lord Yahweh be with us, why then is all this befallen us? So, well, if that truly is the case, now when it says, "Oh my Lord," this is like, there's a good chance that this angel, the form he took was that of one that might have been older than Gideon. So this was more like a courteous or a formal or respectful way when speaking of one that is like older than you or so on. Just like how during the time of the book of Samuel, you'll notice they'll mention like David would mention, like, David thy servant, right? He wasn't really the servant of that person, but it was just, just courtesy, like being respectful. So this doesn't mean that Gideon at this point knew that this was an angel per se. So he's having a conversation with him. And Gideon replies, well, if that's truly the case, then why is the Lord having all these things happen to us? And where be all his miracles which our fathers told us of? Now remember, these were generations after, right? The generation that the Lord had witnessed firsthand, the manna from heaven and the Red Sea parting in half, and the miracles under the hand of Joshua and so on. So these, as them in their time now, they knew this by way of it being passed down. That's why he says, so all these miracles that our God, we were told that he performed, where are they now? Because we need it now more than ever. Did not the Lord Yahweh bring us up out of Egypt? But now the Lord Yahweh hath forsaken us and delivered us into the hand of the Midianites. And the Lord looked upon him and said, go in this thy might, and thou shalt save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. Have not I sent thee? And this was the Lord speaking through his angel at this point. So Gideon is probably, the clocks are probably turning in his head now. And he said unto him, O my Lord, wherewith shall I save Israel? Behold, my family is poor in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house. So it's not like, we're the top family out there, and of everybody, I'm, I'm like, let's look into the word least. Possibly could go into youngest, or just, little, younger, youngest, right? Insignificant, as it says here. or probably youngest. And the Lord said unto him, Surely I will be with thee, and thou shalt smite the Midianites as one man. And what this means is, like, though the Midianites were a large army, they would be likened unto one man, that you would just basically be able to take out. And he said unto him, If now I have found grace in thy sight. So now at this point, Gideon is he's catching the drift that, okay, this might be an angel here that he's talking with. So as he says here, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then show me a sign that thou talkest with me. So confirm for me that truly this is, Most High that's speaking through you to me. So he says, Depart not hence, I pray thee, until I come unto thee and bring forth my present. So wait here until I'm going to bring an offering and set it before thee. And he said, I will tarry until thou come again. This being the angel that took the form of a man. And Gideon went in and made ready a kid, which is a baby goat, and unleavened cakes of an ephah of flour. The flesh he put in a basket, and put the broth in a pot, and brought it out unto him under the oak, and presented it. And the angel of the Lord said unto him, Take the flesh and the unleavened cakes, and lay them upon this rock, and pour out the broth, or pour it over it. And he did so. Then the angel of the Lord put forth the end of the staff that was in his hand, and touched the flesh and the unleavened cakes, and there rose up a fire out of the rock, and consumed the flesh and the unleavened cakes. Then the angel of the Lord disappeared out of his sight. And when Gideon perceived that he was an angel of the Lord Yahweh, Gideon said, Alas, O Lord Yahweh, for because I have seen an angel of the Lord face to face. So he was afraid because he figured, well, the scriptures say that no man, basically can see the face of the Lord and live. So he figured by seeing an angel face to face, he was cooked. He was going to die. And the Lord said unto him, Peace be unto thee. Fear not, thou shalt not die. Then Gideon built an altar there unto the Lord Yahweh, and called it Jehovah Shalom, which would be Yahweh Shalom, which is peace, right? Yahweh's peace, or peace of the Lord. On to this day, it is yet in Ophrah of the Abiezrites, which is like the clan of, or the family of which Gideon was from. And it came to pass the same night that the Lord said unto him, Take thy father's young bullock, even the second bullock of 7 years old, and throw down the altar of Baal that thy father hath, and cut down the grove that is by it. And build an altar of the Lord, or unto the Lord, Yahweh thy God, upon the top of this rock. And in the ordered place, meaning place it in a proper arrangement. And take the second bullock and offer a burnt sacrifice with the wood of the grove which thou shalt cut. So the grove being the gathering of trees where they had probably set up some, a plate that was like a place designated where they would worship Baal, and then they had an altar for Baal. The Lord told Gideon, break down that altar and cut down those trees. And then the wood that you get from that, use that to offer a sacrifice of this bullock on this altar that you're going to build. Then Gideon took 10 men of his servants, and did as the Lord Yahweh said unto him. And so it was, because he feared his father's household, and the men of the city, that he could not do it by day, that he did it by night. So he waited till the nighttime, and then he did it, because then they wouldn't be able to catch him in the act, and he could escape if needed be, or deny it. And when the men of the city arose early in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was cast down, and the grove was cut down that was by it, and the second bullock was offered upon the altar that was built. And they said one to another, Who hath done this thing? And when they inquired and asked, Hey, did anybody see who went and did this? They said, Gideon, the son of Joash, hath done this thing. Then the men of the city said unto Joash, Bring out thy son that he may die, because he hath cast down the altar of Baal, and because he hath cut down the grove that was by it. And Joash said unto all those that stood against him, Will ye plead for Baal? Will ye save him? He that will plead for him, let him be put to death while it is yet morning. And he was sort of going from the angle of, well, who are you to plead for Baal? If Baal being a god, does he need you to come and save him? And if anybody's of that mindset, then put them to death. If he be a god, let him plead for himself. So he's a god, right? So he can judge for himself. He can contend for himself. He doesn't need you to come to his aid or his defense. So as it says, if he be a god, let him plead for himself, because one hath cast down his altar. Therefore on that day he called him Jerubbaal, which is he called Gideon Jerubbaal, saying, Let Baal plead against him, which I believe that's what that goes into. Baal contends, or, as it says, let Baal plead against him, because he hath thrown down his altar. Then all the Midianites and the Amalekites and the children of the east were gathered together, and went over and pitched in the valley of Jezreel. Now this is likely some time after the events of the 32nd verse, or the verses above had happened. So in process of time, the Midianites and the Amalekites and their armies gathered again. But the Spirit of the Lord Yahweh came upon Gideon, and he blew a trumpet, and Abiezer was gathered after him, being those of that family. And he sent messengers throughout all Manasseh, who also was gathered after him. And he sent messengers unto Asher, and unto Zebulun, and unto Naphtali, and they came up to meet them. So he basically gathered warriors to come and fight with him. And Gideon said unto God, If thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as thou hast said, behold, I will put a fleece of wool in the floor, and if the dew be on the fleece only, and it be dry upon all the earth beside, then shall I know that thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as thou hast said. So this would be a sign, right? Show me a sign. Prove this to me. I'm going to let's look up this fleece of wool. So something like this, right? You can see here. These are all different examples. So probably on the grass or an open area, he says, I'm going to lay this here. And the dew, usually by the morning time when you go outside, the grass and stuff would be wet from the dew, which I believe that's caused by the reaction from during the nighttime. As the sun is down in certain areas, it gets colder, the temperature drops. And that coldness, once the sun starts to rise, the heat from it hitting against that coldness upon those plants and trees causes that, due to the temperature change, it causes the form to change into liquid. And hence you have that, that wetness upon the trees and so on, almost like as though it had rained, but it didn't rain. So that's the dew. And he's saying here, well, the sign is that the dew should only be on the fleece. So only the fleece should be wet, but the ground and everything else should be dry. And it was so, for he rose up early on the morrow and thrust the fleece together and wringed out the dew out of the fleece, a bowl full of water. And this scene is like, when you let me type this in here. Let's see. Squeezing water from clothes. Yeah, there you go. This is what it means when it says he wrung, or he wringed out the dew from out of the fleece. So he grabbed it, squeezed just like that, and then that's the water that came out of it. As it says, a bowl full of water. And Gideon said unto God, Let not thine anger be hot against me, and I will speak but this once. Let me prove, I pray thee, but this once with the fleece. So please don't get mad at me for constantly asking you to do this, but just one more time, just another sign for confirmation. Let it now be dry only upon the fleece, and upon all the ground let there be dew. So this time only the fleece should be dry, but the grass, everything else should be wet. So God did so that night, for it was dry upon the fleece only, and there was dew on all the ground. And that brings us to the end of the book of Judges, the 6th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Recha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.